Pacific Championships Week 2, we have Tonga v Samoa. Tonga coming off a great week where they toured the country, met the king, and reading lobsters on the beach all week. Sounds like my dream. And Samoa coming off a tough loss against New Zealand. Now, before we get into this one, I just want to drop in a quick apology here. So for all the Kiwis out there who are letting me know, hey, you underestimated the Kiwis. Kiwis on top. How dare you disrespect our country? I'm going to eat that humble pie and admit it. Hey, we underestimated the Kiwis. Casey McLean, absolutely lethal. Rock solid in defense there. A couple of key moments that weren't super clean, but they got the win done. So my apology to you, Kiwis. But my apology also to you, Burgz, here, because I think your Samoans are going to lose again. I think Tonga's going to get up this week.
No, it's the great thing about hindsight, the winning team always gets to prove it afterwards. And the fans, I apologize. All right, maybe I was a little bit too high on Samoa. Okay, but I think I
can hear the fans right now, mate.
I still think Samoa should have won that game, to tell you the truth, and it was a double movement. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wow, big call. All right, so that apology was not that was kind of how my misso apologizes. Not very convincing at all. Now. Let's rip into this game here because we've got some lethal backlines I want to talk about. Forward packs, obviously a couple of guys missing, a few changes as well. I'll go into Tonga first. I'll let you go through Samoa in a sec. But for Tonga here, we've got Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback. The wings are covered by Dan Tupou and Sione Katoa winning the spot over Paul Alamotti. At the center spot, we have Kola and Rob Toya, young, fast, and full of talent. And then in the halves here, Isaiah Yongi and Isaiah Katoa stepping up. So I'm excited about this Tonga side here. Burgz, I'll throw to you first here. That's Sione Katoa over Alamotti. Obviously, we are Sione Katoa fans, but Alamotti on the back of the ends of the season and the grand final campaign, well, not quite a grand final, but the finals campaign he had with Penrith, I thought he was the sure thing.
Absolutely. I think he's been dogged a spot here a little bit as well. I mean, I love Sione Katoa, and I think he had a great back end of the season for the Sharks and probably is part of the reason that they ended up making it as far as they did in the end of the NRL season. Coming back from injury too, so not always easy. So he's probably feeling like he didn't play as much football as he possibly could have this year. But I just thought Alamotti was arguably, could you say, Penrith's second best player towards the end of the season?
He was unstoppable, dude. That last two games of the year in the finals as well. Form winner of the comp that couple of weeks. Like him and Brian Toa, they were incredible. I'm shocked he wasn't picked. Yeah,
absolutely took it over. And I'm a bit perplexed as to why he doesn't get a spot here. But he's a young guy. I'm sure in years to come he'll be playing for Tonga in the future.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're looking at this and going, Lehigh Hopewadi, Kola, Toya, Yongi, Katoa. These guys are all under, I think it's 23 years old. So you get Dan Tupou in there, who's a veteran there, and then maybe Sione Katoa is there as a bit of a senior presence. That might be the play there. Obviously, Katoa's been around. He's played in big games before, and he's a bit of a machine as well. But we'll see how it plays out. Regardless, I think it's a good back line here. And the center pairing they've got here, Tolu Kola, Rob Toya, I like it a lot.
They went with your guy at center, not fullback like you wanted. Are you disappointed that Lehigh's got the fullback spot?
I think the thing I like about it, right, is Dean Mariner is a big threat, right? He's a big threat. We saw that last week. His pace is just electric. And I'm not sure if he's going to go up against Toya or Kola, but both of them have the pace and defensive ability to match up against him. I really think on those edges, they're going to be two of the better defensive centers in this tournament. So I reckon it puts them in a good spot.
Should be Toya. He goes up against.
Yep. Toya's going to lock him up. Toya's going to school him. 100%.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Toya makes some of the best defensive reads for a young center that I think I may have ever seen. I'd say Stephen Crichton is a hair better, but I would argue that the reason Robert Toya played Origin this year was, one, he's a great runner of the ball, and we saw that, I think, his first game of the year this year against the Broncos. Team ended up winning the comp. And he more formatively his defense, and that's why he ended up in the Queensland side this year. But it's a powerful matchup as always. I mean, this Samoan backline, it's unchanged from last week, but I do think that they created some brilliant opportunities on those edges last week. And I don't think you need to go into panic mode, but they do need to mare up for this game, and they probably need to win it.
you want to give us the team list here, mate?
Yeah, well, you got RTS back at fullback, on the wings, To'o and Murray Taulagi. In the centres, Tungo and Mariner. And then we have Blaze Taulagi and Luai in the halves. Again, a halves pairing that I think it has been debated a lot, especially by people who have watched our video last week in the previews. A lot of people thinking that Harris DeVita should have that spot over Blaze Taulagi. Then I am seeing, I mean, when we get to Harris DeVita a little bit later, I'll have my opinion on that. But he is in this team. But I think Blaze has done enough this year to earn this spot and at least keep it for one more game.
Yeah, I thought he was solid. The big issue there was finishing. Like, they were creating plenty of opportunities, but Brian Toa, he had uncharacteristic drop in a key moment there. Mariner dropped a certain try that would have taken them to the lead, and I thought Murray Taulagi had a couple of moments where, look, it wasn't fair to expect him to score tries, but moments where in clubland we've seen him convert, and he just sort of felt a bit out of sorts too. So maybe it's a chemistry thing. We talk about this, right? These guys come together and they're not used to playing together, all that sort of jazz. Maybe that's what's happening here, and they're just getting things together.
Willingness. It could be a bit of a willingness thing to put body on the line. I mean,
that's a big call, mate.
Well, Pacific Championships isn't as big as a World Cup, you would say. I'd say maybe these players are trying to save themselves a little bit. I think Brian To'o, for a guy like Brian To'o, I feel bad for almost because, well, I don't feel bad for him. He's won 4 premierships, but I kind of almost think that playing deep into October for 5 years straight has to take a toll on the body. And then you're playing Pacific Championships on the back of it. And for a guy who plays through a lot of injuries, he does, play a certain game style that I definitely think isn't conducive to him having a super long career. It could take a toll on your body. And I definitely think that for me, if I was Brian To'o, I'd want to take it easy at some point.
Yeah, I'll throw some numbers at you here from last week. Because you got RTS, 230 run meters for him, so he definitely wasn't taking a backward step there. 124 meters for him, eclipsed by Murray Taulagi, who had 188, about 140 for the centers each, and the halves had about 100 each as well, which is good to see from Blaze Taulagi. I'll just shout out Payne Haas as well with his classic 200-meter game, but it was pretty solid across the board. They're going to need to be good in this one, though, because you go across to Tonga and Leo Hapawadi, Dan Tupou, Sione Katoa, they're all guys who are probably going to eclipse 20 runs in this game, and that can usually equate to, 200-odd meters. So they're going to have a good start to their sets. I also think they have a superior kicking game in Isaiah Katoa compared to, Luai has been solid, but Katoa is exceptional in that area. So I think if Samoa aren't careful, they might be in trouble in terms of field position.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that Luai has excelled in that game manager type role. And I think we saw that once again on the weekend. I think he's much better when there's a little bit of broken play where he can add his level of creativity, which we've seen at times can be devastating to teams, and really use his footwork, his running game. And that's one thing that Blaze is also quite good at as well. I think Blaze has got really accustomed to playing a certain side of the field this year as well. Playing for Penrith, he's played predominantly on the left-hand side of the field. And so for Jerome, that's his spot as well. He loves that left-hand side of the field. So I think one of these guys is getting shifted to a side that they're not normally used to playing. So that is a bit of an adjustment as well. Like, you can't understate how much of an adjustment that actually is when, as a playmaker. You should be good at playing both sides of the field, and you should probably be able to pass both ways. But you do have a favorite side, and it is. And I knew it for. Even when I was playing, like, I had a favorite way I like to run, favorite way I like to pass. You know what I mean? I think everyone has that bias in them. So,
yep.
Yeah, I wonder, with coming up against Isaiah Katoa, who was phenomenal this year, are the Blaze Taulagi Luai crew going to have enough in the tank, creative wise or kicking wise? You'd probably say no, just based on who they are as players.
These weapons are lethal too. So I look at Isaiah Katoa. Obviously, I'm tipping Tonga, so I'm just talking into my point here. But Isaiah Katoa comes into this, and we saw him this year. He unlocked Herbie Farnworth, who, Herbie did a lot of unlocking himself, right? But he was a big part of unlocking Herbie Farnworth. Cody Nicarima definitely helped with that as well. And then on the other side, Averillo. was super effective this year too. So I just look at these matchups in the centers in particular. I look at Tolu Kola and Rob Toya. And I think if Isaiah Katoa can give them a half chance, bit of early ball, just slightly on the outside, a slight advantage with the ball in hand, can Isaac Tungo and Dean Mariner handle these guys? And I just think the answer is no. I can't see them keeping up there. We saw last week too, a lot of traffic directed at Blaze Talangi. He had 26 tackles, 6 missed tackles. I thought he was pretty solid in defense, but the Kiwis definitely targeted him. So Samoa are having to sort of shore things up around him a bit, just as a young half there. So they're going to be isolated somewhere. And that's where I look at this center matchup. I think that's where it's going to be won with Isaiah Katoa feeding that really quality early ball. And like you said, Stephen Crichton isn't playing in this game. I think that's the loss they're going to feel there because they're just not going to be able to keep up in the centers.
Leadership-wise, it's a huge blow as well. Like I think what Stephen Crichton brings from a leadership standpoint is huge, and we've seen it for the Dogs over the last couple of years as well. To your point, with the Kiwis targeting Blaze Talangi, we have not really seen Isaiah Yongi defend in the front line that much, especially over this year as well. I mean, these are two guys who played a lot of fullback, converted into 6 here with Ayongi and Talangi. And I would expect the team that is able to target one of these guys better will probably end up winning the day. Just because, Blaze, we saw it even with Jacob Preston in the finals, like Jacob Preston just bursting straight through him. He really needs to work on that defense, and that'll come with age as well. Ayongi, I would argue that he's a pretty good defender for a fullback, especially a young fullback. A lot of young fullbacks almost don't know how to tackle. I mean, look at guys like, Scott Drinkwater still doesn't know how to tackle. But, I digress. But, like, for Ayongi, I really think that he stepped up in moments this year where he's really good in those one-on-one situations. I think defending in the front line, though, is a little bit of a different beast at times.
I went digging just then while you were talking to try and find some numbers, but he hasn't played a game reserve grade in the halves, and he has one game named in first grade in the halves where he played fullback. I remember the game. So I've got nothing for you in terms of defensive history for him, but I just think he's going to be okay. Like, I don't know. It's a tough thing. I just think he will. I'm a para fan and I'm tipping Tonga, so there is bias here. And a couple of people commented last week that I overhype Yongi, but I'm going to keep doing it because I think he's a weapon. And he's a young guy, and he's not going to be perfect in this game. But he's a guy who racks up the run meters. I think in attack, he'll be very effective. We've seen Isaiah Katoa next to Cody Nikorima, who I think Yongi can play that same role for him. So I think that's going to be effective. Defensively, is he going to be perfect? No, but I think Tonga have the better edge back rowers to cover things up as well. And let's move into the forward pack here because I think they're going to be okay. The centers I've talked about already, they're strong defensively, but then you go into these edge back rowers here, Eli Katoa and Sua Wong, as well as Leka Halasima on the bench there too. So I think that rotation is going to be solid, and I think they're going to outclass Nanai and Sasangi, who are great back rowers, but they will throw a few questions at them in attack. But I think on defense again, I'm weighing up these matchups, and I'm seeing Tonga coming out on top.
Fair enough. And again, I would argue that we had Wong probably not in the starting side. We opted for a Leka Halasima, but again, off the bench this year, Leka Halasima has been outstanding. I think another guy just who's not mentioned here, either in the bench or the forwards, is Dimitri Valmunga, who I think probably deserved a bench spot just based on his performances this year. I
think he's 18th man.
Kafusi, he is. But I get it. Kafusi's probably, coming towards the end of his career, probably not going to play that many more representative games. And Dimitri Valmunga is what, 20, 21? So he's probably got a lot of years ahead of him. I just would have liked to see him play in this game. That's just more from a personal point of view. And you're right. I think no Sua this week, and no Terrell May for Samoa, which he's named in the reserves. I think is a startling omission considering the form that he showed this year. And I don't necessarily think he was bad last week, but just maybe not as impactful as some people like him to be. Again, does it come back?
Well, he didn't make an impact because he didn't play.
yeah, I know. Does it come back?
It's a late night recording, mate. I'll give you that one. But he's a bit of a ham. Let me cut in there for a sec. Yeah. Bit of a hamstring, I believe. That's what I've heard. So the hamstring in camp. Maybe that hamstring's still playing up. Obviously, Taylor May as well. not available too. So yeah, they're in a tough spot. I mean, let me hit you with the team list here, and then we can talk through the matchups, because we'll talk about the front row first in a sec as well. But Adam Fanua-Blake for Tonga in the front row with Stefano Tokomanu, a fantastic pairing there. Saliva Havili, a guy who can scoot and can match it physically. In the back row, we've got Saw Wong, Eli Katoa, and Jason Taumalolo, absolute hero of Tonga. Apparently, he was the most popular player over there this week. Then we've got Sonny Luke, Leka Halasima, Felice Kafusi, and Mo Fotuaika, which is a pretty well-rounded bench there. Again, Sonny Luke, I think if teams are tired towards the back end, he can convert some opportunities as well. I'll throw to you for Samoa, Burgz.
Yeah, Sonny Luke just is a guy who I thought maybe would have taken that next step, but good to see him in the Tongan side. Tongan's forward pack largely unchanged again, minus Sewer again. So with Papali'i and Haas taking over those front row positions, I'm not sure I'm married to the idea of Jazz Tavanga being at 9. I mean, Manly used it for a good number of games this year, and I didn't really see it work there, so I'm not exactly sure. If there's better options, do we go with that? I mean, maybe an Iolu for me would be a better option there. I think Nanai was quite good again last week, and Simi Sasangi is probably one of the form second rowers of the competition this year, so I'm not unhappy with him being in that position. I just do think that there are some better options that are just unavailable at this stage. And Junior Paulo, again, last week, probably not the best defensive game of his life, getting run over by a teenager.
Yeah, he'll be feeling it when he watches the replay.
But no doubt he'll want to have a bounce back. And it just, I guess, makes the bench a little bit thin with Harris Tavita and Iolu on the bench together. Not sure how that's going to work in terms of minute share. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if this does stay as is. Lasati, who Melbourne were favouring quite a lot towards the end of the season, putting him in for Sean Bloor towards the end of the season for Melbourne. So, I mean, I'm not really sure I saw too much from him that would suggest that, he's going to have like a bit of a breakout. But I mean, for Samoa, it could be good. And then Molo is pretty reliable there. But not a big meaty bench compared to the Tongan bench, I will say that.
Yeah, so obviously they lost Marietta. Marietta did the HIA last week. Jaden Sewer HIA as well late in the game, which is a heartbreaker for him. But I want to talk to you about the hooker rotation, because I thought it was weird as well. And I think Iolu's the best hooker. He's a pure hooker. I think Jazz Tavanga could actually be really effective at lock as a more of a playmaking lock. And I think Junior should be playing at prop in that prop rotation. But look, I'm not the coach, right? That's how I'd do it. But for last week, the minutes. So Jazz Tavanga played 24 minutes at hooker. We saw Iolu play the last 17 minutes. I thought he was good, by the way, in that 17 minutes. And in the middle, we had 39 minutes of Chanel Harris-Tavita at hooker. So you've got this fantastic forward pack, like really lethal forward pack. Like it's fucked trying to defend Josh Papali'i, Payne Haas, and Junior close to the line. Why are we running 3 hookers? Like, let one of them develop a bit of chemistry and just feed these guys, because we're seeing Josh Papali'i score clutch try after clutch try after clutch try, right? And Payne Haas is on the back of a massive season. I would be saying, hey, Jazz Tavanga, start the game, play the first 30 minutes there, take the sting out of the game. He's an absolute unit, Jazz Tavanga. Good-looking guy, too, with the beard and bald head. And then bring Iolu on for that 50 minutes there. And I love Chanel Harris-Tavita. I don't mind him as an 18th man or something like that, but I think you need the backup in the forwards. Like, I just didn't think they had the gas at the back end of the game. So I'd be going Jazz 30 minutes, Iolu 50, and really just focus on feeding these props close to the line in particular, but around the ruck, and cause a bit of disruption there.
I agree with you in the sense that I don't see Chanel Harris-Tavita being necessarily effective in this game or being able to play an effective role. I see him being injury cover. And that's not something I necessarily want from my bench in a game like this that is heavily emotionally charged and in a game that Samoa need to win. Like, Samoa need to win.
He got more hooker minutes than anyone.
I know. That's the problem.
You got half of them.
I would see him, and this is how I see him. Like, I don't like the form or like the way that they are using him right now. And I agree with you in saying that Iolu was the Roosters' premier hooker towards the back end of the year, superseding Connor Watson, who was playing for the Blues. Like, I just think it's
Bro,
really...
Iolu has game. Ailua's game. He's the
I think
future at
it's
hooker.
ill-informed and a bit brash, if you ask me, to put 3 guys in at hooker. I mean, we haven't seen that since the Broncos, who won the comp. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
It's risky. It's risky. I will say they got a lot of strike though, right? Like you look at this forward pack here, and if they can unlock them and can feed the right guys, like Jeremiah Nanai and Simi Sasangi are two of the best try-scoring back rowers in the game. You know, Josh Papali'i, we've talked about it. In his 300th game, he scored a double. He's a prop. It's just, it's incredible, right? But they're going to need a lot here. So, you know, France Molo last week, he had about 50 minutes off the bench. They're going to need Lasardi to be big because I look at this starting team and I think Josh Papali'i, like, he can stretch to 50 minutes. It's like you're not going to get the best 50 out of him, though. Like, I would rather him at 35 to 40 minutes. Payne Haas can play 80 if you want, but I prefer him at 65 or 70. I want that rest for him, right? Nanai and Sasangi, they can play the 80 minutes. Junior, he has played about 60 for Parramatta quite a bit this year. I just think they're going to be stretched for minutes. And if there's a single HIA, which they copped 2 last week. So if there's a HIA early or something like that, they're going to be in serious trouble, man. And
I agree.
You know, Tonga doesn't have that problem. Like Tonga has, you know, Fotuaika, Kafusi, and Halasima can all soak up minutes there. And Havili can move into the forward rotation with Sonny Luke coming on to hooker as well. So I think they're better prepared for the game. Like, the more I look at this, I just think Tonga's going to be the team that gets it done. But it's going to rely on that battle between Isaiah Katoa and Jerome Luai. And everyone in the comments everywhere is talking about it like it's already won. Like Katoa's already won that battle. And there's a lot of disrespect for Jerome Luai that I think isn't warranted, personally. I think his form on the international stage is being we talk about disrespect. It's being massively disrespected.
It's been proven, right? I mean, you would say with Katoa that it necessarily hasn't to this stage of his career. I mean, he's only played a handful of games, but
he's 21. He's got time.
We saw Luai potentially carry a Samoan side that had no business being in the final of a World Cup to a World Cup final after getting hammered in the first game of that World Cup. So they're no strangers to this position. They lost last week. They desperately need a win here. And I think they've been able to produce some of their best football when their back is against the wall, Samoa. Like, we've actually seen that. I think Tonga sometimes can tend to shrink in big moments, and they haven't necessarily got a great record over the last few years. Tonga, they've lost, I think they've only won 1 out of their last 7 games as an international team. So, and that's since 2023. So it's the last 2 years they've barely won a game. So I think both teams will be hungry for it. I think these forward packs match up well if no one gets injured. And especially if Terrell May gets shoehorned into the team late, I think that could really help some Samoan chances in this game.
Yeah, I just think Isaiah Katoa's current form is such a difference maker, but it's putting a lot on a 21-year-old halfback in a highly charged international game. Played at Suncorp too, this one. So if you guys are in Brisbane, definitely go and watch it. Mate, if I was in Brisbane, I'd be getting tickets to this 100%. But let's rip into the tips here, because, you know, we've got our tips. We obviously both declared our allegiances last week. I'm going to put us in the spots again. I'll throw to you first, mate. Give me your tip. Bit of a game script, what you think is going to happen, and your first try scorer for this one.
I'm going to start it out by saying that I think Samoa will win. And I think that's based on the fact that I have seen Samoa be in this position before, and I have faith that they'll be able to drag themselves out of it on the back of guys like Luai, like To'o, who were there in that World Cup as well, and know how to break free from this I guess dismal position that they find themselves in. I think this could be very tight, and these games, and no doubt I've lost money in the past on these games as well by it going one way or the other. It's easily going to be 1-12 in this game. And I think that Samoa get the win by 2 points. I'm going to go 20-18. I think that's going to be just based on Terrell May coming into the side. I think that he might get shoehorned in quite late and really add a lot to that middle rotation. I mean, if he's in the reserves, if he's injured, why is he in the reserves? I feel like he could be very close to playing. And yeah, I think the Tongan side will have a very tough time containing that forward pack or that version of the Samoan forward pack because that is peak Samoan forward pack. I am scared about the Tongan edges. I think they will be good. I can't lie to you there, but I'm going to back my boys Tungo to turn it on, become playoff Tungo. And Dean Mariner was phenomenal down the stretch as well. Just hold the ball, guys, and I think we win.
First try scorer?
I'm going to give it to Blaze. I think Blaze is going to be our first try scorer in this game. Yeah.
Big call. All right. Well, I'm going to go the other way. I think a bit higher scoring than what you're talking about there. There's obviously a lot of attacking weapons in this game and some deficiencies to attack. So I will go Tonga to win this one 26-22. I think it's going to be a cracker of a game. I'm hoping this is one of the best games of the last decade. Like, I really want this to be a special game because I think a couple of really special games could launch this into being a rivalry that rivals Origin. Like, that's what I want this to be for Samoa and Tonga because the fan bases are so passionate on both sides of this. Like, they're really, and I'm not Samoan or Tongan, as you can tell, but it's just infectious, man. Like the passion of these fan bases. So I want this to be a cracker. Tonga's going to win in my view, 26-22. I could see Eli Katoa scoring the first try. I just think he's all class, and I think he's got a good matchup, regardless of whether it's Sasangi or Jeremiah Nanai. I like the matchup either way for him, and I think the playmakers will be looking to him early just to really try and tighten up the defense before they start feeding the speedsters on the edges. In terms of game script for this one, I think it's going to be pretty back and forth, man. Like, I don't think it's going to get out past 12 points lead for either team. I think it's going to bounce back and forth. I think both teams are going to have periods of dominance, but I just see Tonga scoring that crucial try at the right time. I'm kind of hoping it's one of those games where both teams come away from it thinking, yeah, we played pretty well in that game. I'm keen to play them again. So that's what I'm looking for in this one. Probably a bit optimistic of a take, but Tonga to get the job done. 26-22. Eli Katoa, first try scorer.
That's all good, mate. It's not going to happen, but wishful thinking. We all get to dream. Just because you have the soundboard doesn't mean you get to use it.
Are you ready for this? Tonga's going to win. Anyway, that is us done and dusted. Tonga v Samoa preview. I am abusing my powers, and yes, to any of the comments, I am a little bit biased, as is Burgz, as are you. That's the whole point of this. We have a YouTube channel so we can be a bit biased and, share a few thoughts. Obviously, the analysis to try to be as sharp as possible, but we've got our ways we're leading. I'm hoping this is a cracker of a game. So cheers for jumping on, Burgz. Cheers, everyone in the comments as well. Drop your predictions through too, and we'll see you guys on the next one.